Okay, so in these five puzzles we're going to take a look at, we're just trying to stop a threat. So there is some sort of threat that white has against us. We're playing for black, and we just need to identify what the problem is. So hopefully this can help my students think about checks, think about capture moves that can be played, watch out for loose pieces, and look out for threats. So we need to watch out for checks. Think about all the capture moves that can be played. So you got to think about where all your opponent's pieces can move, what they can attack. You should do the same thing for your own pieces. Think about where you can go and attack. Because yeah, you want to make threats towards your opponent. Also, anyway, pause your video if you want to think about this one. Hopefully you paused that video. But yeah, we got a loose rook over here on a7, and in fact, it is a hanging rook. The rook is hanging because the bishop could just capture. And you could probably play this a couple different ways. You could just play rook over to f7. You could probably push the pawn to c5. But the bishop's not really doing anything, so I might just go ahead and try to get that bishop into the game. I don't know if I'm not sure that this is necessarily the best move. Just kind of a quick thought here is we could play this move and just trade off the bishop, perhaps. And they can't really push the pawn because we could just capture anyway. So yeah, that does work. All right, so same idea here. We're trying to stop white's threat. So white has some sort of nasty threat. Pause your video, think about it. What is the threat? What can white do here? Think about checks, think about captures, think about loose pieces, think about threats. White, it's black to play here, but if it was white's move, we'd be in big trouble. Hopefully you pause your video. Hopefully you pause your video now. So the threat is actually queen to c8. So the queen could move down to c8 here, and that's going to lead to checkmate. The rook could block, but we could just white could just take the rook. So how do you prevent that? Well, rook to c7 prevents queen to c8, but now they're going to give us another threat. So now they're threatening to play queen to e8, which would be checkmate. And that's a problem. You can't just block with the rook. You can't play rook to e7 because, queen is going to go to c8 again. So that's a problem. So maybe pause your video if you want to think about what you would do here. How would you play this? Yeah, so we have the issue of, so the queen can't go here because the rook, of course, is covering it, but the rook's responsible for that threat. And we got to deal with this threat now. So how do we play it? Probably best move is just to go ahead and block with the bishop, and the bishop also prevents the rook from coming down. And again, you might want to pause your video and think about what you would do here. What would you do now? So they're threatening to perhaps continue this situation. How do we play it? Well, we do have a couple extra pawns, so this may not be the best way to play it. But one thing you can do is force a perpetual check. Just, dance around with the king. They could block with the rook, I suppose, but yeah, we could just dance here and force a draw. Let me know in the comments if you come up with a better move to play here. I would like to know about that. But let's go on to the next one. So this is the third one here. All right, so again here, it's black's move, but if it was white's move, we'd be in big trouble. So go ahead and pause your video and figure out if you can see what what white's threat is, and figure out what you might do to try to stop that threat. So go ahead and pause that video now. What are we going to do? So hopefully you pause your video. But what I see here is actually they could sacrifice the rook. They can play rook here check, forcing the bishop to capture the rook. That's the only move that you can play. And then queen here would be checkmate, defended by the pawn here. So that is the threat. The threat is basically a mate in two. Again, just they sacrifice the rook, the bishop is forced to capture, and then queen here is checkmate. So maybe pause your video if you want to think about how to stop that threat in case you didn't identify that threat. But I think we can just play queen captures g6. And now they can't sacrifice the rook. That's just not going to do them any good. Yeah, the queen is defending e6. Otherwise, I might just like try to grab the c2 pawn and help escort my passed pawn here. Yeah, again, you could pause your video and think about what you would do here. Yeah, probably need to play rook to c7, just helping defend the bishop here. And yeah, so again, what do we play from this position? You can pause your video and think about it once again. So the queen is defending. So we might just get our king off the back rank here. So the queen needs to maintain her defense of the knight. So I'll probably just play this. And the knight is, everybody's just kind of defended. We could trade queens here, but yeah, here we go. Let's move on to the fourth one, second last, the penultimate puzzle for this video. Penultimate. So it is black to play, but if it was white's move, we'd be in some trouble. So go ahead and pause your video and see if you can identify white's threat. What can white do here? Hopefully you paused that video. This one's not so complex. Yeah, we've got a hanging piece. The rook can just take our knight. So this is why we want to always be looking for loose pieces. You want to consider all captures. This is not really a loose piece, it's a hanging piece. You can pause your video if you want to think about what you would do to deal with this threat. I mean, could just defend with the bishop perhaps. Could defend with the pawn. I don't know. We might like to castle here, so the knight's in kind of an awkward spot. But probably just push the pawn to f5, and that way if they attack us with one of their pawns, we could just drop back to f6 or something like that. Yeah, okay. All right, let's look at the last one here. All right, last one here. It is black to play, but if it was white's move, we'd be in some big trouble. Go ahead and pause your video and see if you can identify white's big threat here. Hopefully you've paused your video and identified the threat. We're supposed to consider all checking moves. Yeah, there's a really nasty one. Pawn to e6 check. Ouch. Of course, we could capture back with the bishop, but yeah, if they play pawn to e6, it's unleashing the queen on our queen. That's going to cost us a queen. So it's a discovered attack, a discovered check. So pawn to e6 is the threat. What do we do about it? Maybe pause your video again if you didn't identify that threat. But what would you do? So we can actually go ahead and just capture the pawn because we have the queen defending. So they bring up another attacker on the pawn. I mean, they have 3 attackers, including the queen. Now, our knight can be the final defender if the queen captures. So we have 2 defenders. We need to bring up a 3rd defender. Maybe just go ahead and move the bishop out of the way. So a 3rd defender there. And that way we maybe can bring the rook into defense, perhaps, although that would hang a pawn. Yeah. Okay, that's it. So yeah, we should always be looking for checks, captures. We need to be considering loose pieces, and you need to consider attacks. So those are the things that you need to consider in all positions. You want to put pressure on your opponent, so you should be trying to attack them. If there's no checks, there's no captures, they don't have any loose pieces. Is there a way that you can attack them, put pressure on them, and keep them from doing things that will cause you problems? If you're constantly putting pressure on them, how are they going to come up with some sort of way to attack you? So yeah, thank you for joining me for that. Yeah, we have unlimited classes through August 18th is kind of our introductory package on legendarychess.com. I'll put a link in the description where you can sign up and join our group classes. That's a lot of fun. In those classes, we do tactics and stuff like this, or puzzles like this for part of the class. Sometimes we'll do game analysis of the students' games, because the second half of the class, we just play chess with each other. All the students play chess with each other. Some of them play chess with me as well. And we'll analyze those games also. All right, thank you all for joining me. Please like and subscribe, and I will be making several chess videos each week, sometimes game reviews, sometimes tactics, checkmate patterns, stuff like that. All right, take care, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.